Welcome all inside the ballpark at Old Orchard Beach for the annual GNCBL All-Star Game. Today, the Greater Northeast Collegiate Baseball League All-Stars will face off against the All-Stars, the select team rather, from the Southern Maine Men's Baseball League in a cross-league clash. With the GNCBL having home field advantage, they will start in the field with their starting pitcher TJ Dimitru representing his Norsemen. And the defense around Dimitru, catcher from the Patriots, Ike Keeley. First baseman from the Patriots, Sam Economy. Second baseman from the Nor'easters, Luke Chessie. Shortstop from the Windjammers, Landon Schwartzman. Third baseman from the Norsemen, Kyle Dewan. And in the outfield from left to right, Patriot Quest Newhall, Nor'easter Nate Rogers, and Nor'easter Dawson Gunlaw. Ike Keeley, as I said, doing the catching for Dimitru. Representing his manager, Matt Rogers' Norseman. Dimitru is a sophomore at Suffolk from Norwood, Massachusetts. He's got a 1.02 whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, third in the entire GNCBL with a 1.91 ERA and 12 strikeouts on the season. One of the most formidable foes manager Max Selewski could have put on the mound to start against any league. I'm Charlie Fellows. I'll be taking you through the game today. We're about set to get going against the lineup for the Southern Maine Men's Baseball League, which will start off today with Tommy Larison.
At bat, Tommy Larison.
He graduated from Wheaton in 2019. He's representing the Astros of the Southern Maine Men's Baseball League. Leading off this 12-man unit, he looks at a ball low, and we are underway. This is, as I said, a 12-man lineup for manager Jim Doran, which will be changing frequently throughout the game, as everyone on his expansive roster will get a chance to bat. 1-1 from Dimitru is high. Larison, another Massachusetts native. He is from Norwell, went to Norwell High School. That's chopped in the dirt to third. Dewan fields it over to Economy. Able to not beat out the running Larison. He is aboard with a infield single to start things off here. Dewan was a beat too slow, fielding that out of the dirt, and that will bring up Max Fortier.
At bat, Max Fortier.
He's representing the Reds along with his brother Tom. Both are from Falmouth High School graduates. Dimitru starts him off low. TJ, one of a few Norsemen, representing the team currently in last in the GNCBL standings, but many representative. That's got jammed to short, throwing on to Economy, and once again, not in time. Two infield hits against Dimitru to start this one off. Fortier is aboard. And the third man in this lineup representing the Astros club is Josh Mackey. He graduated from USM back in 2011, originally from Danvers, Massachusetts, a place I know well. It's a nice spot. 0-1 from TJ. Runners on first and second, none out. Already a bit of a jam for the left-hander from Massachusetts. Dimitru, during his freshman season at Suffolk, had a 3.38 ERA out of the bullpen. That's grounded to short. Throwing on to second for one. On to first in time to turn two. A huge double play. Started on the play by Landon Schwartzman. One of just two Windjammers All-Stars today. Larison and Fortier are thrown out. Larison down to third. Fortier and Mackey are thrown out. Hit into right, coming on and making a diving catch for the third out is Matt Rogers to retire the side. A few infield hits start the SMMBL team off, but nothing comes of it. 0-0 after half an inning. Starting the bottom of the first now, with the SMMBL team in the field. The man on the mound first. They will be switching by inning, but they will start it off with Evan Humphrey representing the Astros, and the defense around him is a unit consisting of, these names are not known right off the top of my head. Colin Henry at first base, Max Fortier at second, Josh Mackey at short, Chad Mazzoen, at third. In the outfield, left to right, Jason Smith, Brad Caden, and Tom Fortier. And Tommy Larison behind the plate, catching the USM alum Evan Humphrey, graduated as a Husky back in 2018. He's originally from Freiburg, up in the Lake Region area. Went to Freiburg Academy, high school. And he will face the GNCBL lineup, which, before subs, consists of Dawson Gunlaw, Sam Economy, Kyle Dewin, Ike Keeley, Chris Cimino, Luke Chessie, Nate Rogers, Landon Schwartzman, and Quest Newhall. Nate Rogers was the one who made that catch at the end of the top of the first, not Matt Rogers. That was a misspeak on my part. We're about to get going here in the bottom half of the first.
Leading off, Dawson Gunlaw.
Gunlaw will be the first one at the bat, representing the Nor'easters, same as his manager, Max Zalewski. Gunlaw is a senior at St. Joseph's, who is third in the GNCBL with a .393 batting average. Just the kind of guy you want leading off. Takes the first pitch in for a strike. Gunlaw is from York. He's batted in 18 runs and hit 1 home run during his college season with the Monks. Hit .264. Taken low. Humphrey. Outside, ball 3. Humphrey, the man on the mound, has a day job, a logistics coordinator at Ready Seafood over in Portland. Two and two. There is a considerable age gap between these two leagues. Many exclusively college prospects in the GNCBL, while the SMMBL is all players who have since graduated, moved on to other frontiers, but happen to stay in the Portland area. So an interesting test for both teams. 2 and 2. That skips to the backstop. And that is the third ball, but actually, the count is full on the leadoff man, Gunlaw, the business management major. Payoff pitch from Humphrey. And he's rung up. Strike 3. Humphrey starts things off with a backwards K. Now we'll bring up Sam Economy, representing the Patriots, the second place club in the GNCBL. Economy, a junior at Penn West Clarion out of Hampton Academy. Taking low for a strike. He is 5th in the GNCBL in slugging with an even .500. He went around on that, quick 0-2. Hitting .333. He's batted in 3 runs. Playing first base today, as he so often does. Cut and a miss. And that is strike 2. So 1-2 the count. My apologies, some scoreboard issues. That's outside, 2-2. Getting everything sorted. We have a PA announcer today, pulling out all the stops for this All-Star game, as that will hit him. The Economy reaches base on hit by pitch. And Kyle Dewan will bat.
At bat, Kyle Dewan.
So I was saying, this isn't just a run-of-the-mill All-Star game. It's also a benefit. Everyone in attendance helping to contribute to the Maine Cancer Foundation. These two leagues coming together for a greater cause. That's fouled back by Dewan, the Norseman representative, teammate of the man on the mound for the GNCBL. He's a sophomore at USM from Augusta, went to Coney High School. He's hitting .400 this year, slugging .1367, or excuse me, that's OPS. To the backstop, advancing to second is Economy on the wild pitch. Dewan has one home run this season. It was at this park against the Patriots, a walk-off home run in a 9-inning thriller. This game also a 9-inning affair. 1-1. Fouled into the dirt. Dewan's slugging and his OPS both second in the league. As a freshman at USM, he hit .316 with 2 home runs. Dribbled down the first baseline foul. One and two. With one away in the bottom of the first. And a man on second, that is Economy. He's got some speed. He hit 2 triples at Penn West Clary in his sophomore season. Lined back foul. Dewan staying alive. Dewan was a 4-sport athlete in high school. In addition to baseball, he played football, basketball, and golf at Coney. Baseball is the sport he chose to pursue. 1-2 from the Astro in the dirt. Bounces off of the catcher Larison and right back into Humphrey's mitt. So Economy can't advance. 2-2. Righty deals. Chop foul again. Dewan driving up Evan Humphrey's pitch count here. This is a terrifying lineup the GNCBL will field, full of hitters that have dominated the league, as all-star teams often are. But against new competition, we've yet to see how they will fare. So far, it's looking pretty good. Dewan works the count full. This has been a masterful at-bat so far. Humphrey trying to put him away. And strand Economy where he is. Payoff pitch once more. Lives to bat one more pitch. Does the 6-1 lefty. Humphrey into left field. Going back Smith. And makes the grab for the second out. Economy will not tag.
At bat, Ike Keeley.
So Humphrey won the battle there. Now he will face off against Ike Keeley, the best catcher in the GNCBL, representing the Patriots, both in terms of fielding and with his bat. A rising senior at Babson. Keeley went to Falmouth. He's batted in 8 runs, which is tied for 3rd in the league. His .516 slugging tied for 4th. Looks at a quick strike 1-1 the count now. Hitting .323 on the season. So lots of average hitters. That is to say, they hit for average. Keeley batting cleanup. Just inside. Tommy Larison with a stop. Two one. High. Keeley is the NEWMAC Rookie of the Year with Babson back in 2021. This past season, he led his squad to within a 10-2 loss to Wheaton of taking the NEWMAC title, as that's popped into shallow right, caught by Tom Fortier for the 3rd out. The Economy makes it to 2nd, and he is stranded there. We're through 1, 0-0 here in the All-Star game. Top of the 2nd, no score here in this interleague battle. TJ Dimitru back on the mound, and Nico Ruiz will take his turn at the plate. He's representing the Reds. Ruiz is a native of Temecula, California. Graduated from Linfield Christian High School back in the day. Today he is up in Bath, where he is the head coach at Morse. Keeping his bat sharp here in the SMMBL. 0-1 from Dimitru. He checked a swing, 1-1. You may notice the GNCBL players all wearing special all-star jerseys. Those jerseys have neither name nor number. We will get substitutions and lineup changes to you as soon as we have them. But in the absence of a high-tech communication system between the dugout and the Old Orchard Beach press box that may not be instantaneous, or as much so as we'd like, that skied foul into the Nor'easter bullpen, where there's some activity, as you'd expect early on in the All-Star game. Dimitru pitching well. Ruiz 1-2. One of a few Reds representatives. Squad has 5, which is the most of any team in the league. 1-2. Popped him up into shallow right. Coming on Dawson Gunlaw, and he'll make the grab for the 1st out. And while you saw Max Fortier get ready for his brother Tom, graduate of St. Joseph's back in 2017, he's also representing the Reds, as you can tell by the appropriately colored jersey. He's from Falmouth as well. He was a liberal studies major at St. Joseph's. Also spent some time with the Sanford Mainers before landing in the Southern Maine Men's Baseball League. Dimitru starts him off just outside. Well, as you'd expect for an all-star game / cancer benefit, the fans are out in full force from GNCBL and SMMBL allegiances alike. They've all patronized this wonderful ballpark here on this balmy 80-degree day in southern Maine to watch some quality baseball between these two squads that have never met, 1 and 2. This, of course, does not matter stats-wise for either league. Just a chance to have some fun, meet some new people. Lined into left, just foul. Newhall was given chase. I've certainly missed the action. As I said after my last game, I've been out for a week, taking a bit of a vacation. But I am back for the stretch run as Fortier takes it low, ball 2. I am thrilled to bring you all the thrilling conclusion to the GNCBL regular season and the thing we all pay attention for, the postseason and eventual championship. That'll all be at St. Joseph's. I want everybody watching this to try and make it out to those games. Payoff pitch, fouled back by the 6'4" lefty. It is still anybody's pennant to win here this year in the GNCBL. I am thrilled to see how it all plays out as Dumitru leaves it low, ball 4. 40 errors aboard with one away.
At bat, Colin Henry.
And Colin Henry now, representing the Mets, graduated from the University of Southern Maine in 2010. Another 6'4" lefty against the 6'1" right-hander out of Suffolk. Line foul. Dumitru just recently committed there after transferring from Babson. Made the announcement on his Twitter page. Wish him the best of luck in his next college season. And if the league is lucky, we'll get him back next summer. 0-1, runner goes. Taken low. Throw into second is not in time. Not fielded cleanly by Luke Chessie. 40 error into second with a stolen base. Colin Henry is from Penobscot, way up north. Went to George Stevens Academy. Little corner of Maine I've yet to visit. That's lined right to Chessie. Throwing on to Economy to get the second out. Tom Fortier advances to third. On the fielder's choice. Now we'll bring up Brad Caden. Representing the Reds, graduated from the University of Delaware in 2022, a year ago. Taken low. Caden is from Newark, Delaware, went to Caravel Academy. Stands at 6'3", one of many towering batsmen in this lineup. 2-0, or 1-1 rather. Caden works his day job as a design engineer. 1-1 from Dumitru, big cut. One and two. Two away, runner on third. The select team trying to strike first. And that's in there for strike 3. Dumitru gets a huge K to strand a runner in scoring position through 3 frames. Still no score here at the ballpark. Ready to begin the bottom of the second.
At bat, Chris Cimino.
Chris Cimino, another Norseman representative, steps into the box and takes ball 1 to the backstop. Cimino is a senior at Bates from Scarborough. Played his high school ball at Cheverus. In college, he hit .318 with 2 doubles, batted in 21 runs. That's ball 2. Evan Humphrey back on the mound for a second inning of work. Allowed just the 1 hit by pitch. Other than that, was a clean inning. And drops one into the strike zone against Cimino, who made NESCAC All-Academic in 2023. 2-1. Lined to second. Throwing on to first for out number 1, the 40 error to Henry connection. Cimino's retired. And Luke Chessie is next one up.
At bat, Luke Chessie.
From the Nor'easters. A senior at Bowdoin, NESCAC rival of the man he just preceded in the lineup. Humphrey starts him off in the zone. Jesse's batting .270. He's batted in 6 runs. A 5'10 righty out of Thornton Academy. Into right field, going back, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Rounding first, trying to stretch it to a double, and just in time, the throw got there just a millisecond after him. Brad Caden could have had a pickoff opportunity, but in with a sliding double is Luke Chessie. The first extra base hit for either side. Nate Rogers now, one of many Norsemen, you can tell by his socks. Bright green flare. Senior at St. Michael's from Portland. His father played at Bowdoin, the school attended by the man now at second. Lots of connections between the men on these lineup. Rogers also went to Chevrolet, much like Chessie. 2-0 inside. 3 now count from Humphrey, the Freiburg native. Gets one in the zone there. 1 away, a runner on second. Three-one count to the righty. And that's ball 4. Just on the lower edge, below the strike zone. So 2 men aboard. A walk and hit by pitch already in this outing by Humphrey. And now Landon Schwartzman. The only batter selected from the Windjammers. But he was a deserving pick. He is currently batting an even cool .500, second in the GNCBL. His 11 RBIs and 1.733 OPS are both first in the league. He was recognized back in June as the first GNCBL Player of the Week, as that's hit high but shallow into center field, coming on and not making the catch. There was a miscommunication, and Schwartzman goes for second. He's thrown out there. That was Chimino going for second, rather. But runners on the corners now with 2 outs. There was a miscommunication between Josh Mackey at short and Brad Caden at center, and the ball just dropped between them. So down to third is Luke Chessie. Rogers is thrown out. Schwartzman is aboard on the error. Or we'll call that a hit. That was in no man's land. 2 outs, runners on the corners. For Quest Newhall, the final man in this lineup, out of Bridgeton Academy, he's representing the Patriots, heading to Bryant as a freshman. The only rising freshman on this team that is not a member of Lightning. Runner goes, big cut, and that throw is into center field, and that will allow Luke Chessie to score without incident to put the GNCBL on the board first. Chessie scoring on the high throw from the catcher, Tommy Larison. And Schwartzman is able to advance all the way to third on the E2. 1-1 to Newhall is in the zone. One, 2 for the rising freshman. That is partially stopped in the dirt by Larison. No steal of home is attempted. Newhall, the last man to bat in the 9-man unit for Max Selewski, the manager, before we begin anew and the substitution fun begins. The best part of every All-Star game. You get to see all the most recognizable faces across the league. Payoff pitch is high. Second walk of the inning for Humphrey. Newhall is aboard. Runners on the corners with 2 outs once again, and that will bring up the top of the lineup with Dawson Gunlaw. Who struck out looking to begin this one. Looks at a ball. Strike, excuse me. Late signal by the umpire. Of course, I will issue a disclaimer from this point forward. We cannot be 100% certain whether these batters are what the lineup claims them to be. Gunlaw batted in this spot last time, but the All-Star game is full of substitutions. In any event, he is down 0-2. Humphrey trying to get out of it. Runner goes, and that's just inside. Newhall takes second base without incident. Gunlaw 1-2. Humphrey offers. High again. 2 runners in scoring position. Gunlaw can drive in 2 more with a base hit to make it a 3-0 game. 2-2. Into right field, dropping, and into the glove of the right fielder, Fortier. And that is it for the second inning. The GNCBL strikes first. They lead it 1-0. We're ready for the top of the third. The GNCBL back in the field with a 1-run lead. First at bat will be Jason Smith, representing the Padres club. Smith graduated from Husson in 2012. He's originally from Milford. Went to Old Town High School. Dimitri 1-1. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this might be Nick Griffin on the mound now. If so, he's representing the Patriots. Went around. That will be strike 2 by Smith. Graduated from Husson with a degree in sport management. One, 2 is chopped to short, fielded and thrown on for the first out. To bring up Adam Wilson.
At bat, Adam Wilson.
Representing the Mets. He's another Husson graduate. He ended his college career 3 years later. He is from Harrison. Originally went to school at Kishwaukee Community College. Cut and fouled back. Once again, I apologize for the lack of clarity about the pitcher currently on the mound. We'll continue calling him Dimitri until instructed otherwise. 0-1. Outside. This is an absolutely star-studded lineup, as you'd expect a all-star team to be, as that's another massive cut, this time coming up completely empty, is Adam Wilson. Pitchers include, as I mentioned, Nick Griffin, the Nor'easters ace. Lucas Francis may also see an appearance, as down on strikes goes Wilson. To bring up A.J. Arroyo, another Met. Owen Sullivan from the Windjammers, one of the most dominant arms in the league this season. Ryan Penny from the Nor'easters is second in the GNCBL in both ERA and WHIP. So, statistics-wise, he is the best. And Ian Libby, a towering 6'7" lightning ace. Always a force to be reckoned with as well. 2-0 is the start on Arroyo. 1-1 rather, excuse me. He's a designated hitter tonight. 2-1. 1-2. Getting deked out by these late called strikes. Wager that's a ball though. 2-2. And that's chopped towards second base. Throwing on is Chessie in time to economy to get the third out and retire the side. 1-2-3 go the select team from the Southern Maine Men's Baseball League. And the GNCBL still with a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the third, ready to begin. The new man on the mound for the Southern Maine Men's Baseball League is Zach DeQuattro. He is representing the Padres, wearing the exact same shade of light blue as the GNCBL ranks. First among them to bat this inning is Sam Economy, who was hit by a pitch his last time at the plate. DeQuattro graduated from Dickinson just a year ago, starts Economy off with a big swinging strike. His final season at Dickinson, where he was the president of the club team, he threw 51 innings, a 6.18 ERA. Into right field, going back and making the grab is Tom Fortier. Who grabbed the out that ended the last inning. Now Kyle Doohan, who flew out to left. The third man in this lineup. First look at DeQuattro. Looks at a ball. DeQuattro graduated from Scarborough High School 3 years before I did. 1-0. Into right field once again. And unable to make the grab that time. To the wall it rolls past the glove of Fortier. Into second. Rounding second is Doohan. He's going to try for third and get there without a competitive throw. How about a one-out triple to get things going here in the third inning? An appropriate number of bases, I'd say. Doohan loves his extra base hits. The walk-off home run he hit was to that very part of the park. So a man on third with one out for Keeley, who also flew out to Fortier out in right. DeQuattro starts him off in the zone with a breaking ball. A 1. And that's into right once more. Coming on, second baseman and calling off. Eventually caught by, you guessed it, the man of the hour, Tom Fortier. Has a strong inlet throw to keep Doohan at his base. Keeley flies out to right for the second time. And now with two away, Chris Cimino, who's grounded out to the second baseman. The fourth man in the inning to face against DeQuattro. 5'10" right-hander. Low for a ball. It initially looked unclear as to whether this game would be able to occur at all. The rain and weather gods consistently seem to have it in for GNCBL games, but luckily the rain seems to have been pushed back to tomorrow as that's into left field. Caught after not even 2 full steps covered by Jason Smith to end the inning. A triple does not lead to any runs, and the GNCBL lead it by 1. Ready for the top of the 4th, and a new man on the mound for the GNCBL. Hate to leave you hanging, but we do not have his name. I will venture a guess and say this is Colin McDonald from the Nor'easters, facing off against Logan Johnson, who he has 0-2. Johnson representing the Red Sox club. He's their sole representee, grounded to second over to Economy for a 2-pitch or a 3-pitch rather out. And that will conclude the first 10 through the order. We're back up top for Tommy Larison, who singled his first time up, made it around to third, and was stranded there. High to right.
At bat, Tommy Larison.
Into the dugout. If this is indeed Colin McDonald, he is a sophomore at USM, graduated from Gorham a year ago. This year he's second in the GNCBL in strikeouts with 25, and 2.84 ERA and 12 1/3 innings. He's been the main workhorse. Him and Ryan Penny have split pitching duties for the GNCBL's leading team. 0-2 on Larison. Outside. This could also be Owen Sullivan, a grad student at USM out of the Windjammers rotation. There are a few arms who fit the bill. One and two. Foul back. Supposed to cover my bases, I'll just tell you about each one of these pitchers. And to the astute watching this one, you'll know who it is before even I do. Sullivan is from Biddeford. He is the ace of the Windjammers staff. His ERA at 0.58 is number 1 in the entire GNCBL, excluding 2 players both on the Lightning that have yet to give up an earned run on the season in a smaller sample of innings. Sullivan is in a master's degree program, trying to get a degree in leadership studies. Payoff pitch is behind the backstop, or behind the batter, rather. Reaching base for the second time is Tommy Larison. That brings up Max Fortier, who also reached on an infield single and then was part of a double play. It could also be Colton Carson, senior out of Maine. Who's from Oxford Hills. His ERA at 1.62 is 5th in the GNCBL. I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. I apologize for that. All these pitchers are excellent in their own little statistical niches that we have thanks to the wonderful folks in the dugouts, making sure the game changer for each team is run smoothly, and colleges, families, and anyone else, broadcasters, can get the correct numbers all the time. It's a service this league, and especially my position in this league, could not function very well without. 1 and 2, grounded above the pitcher, on to second for 1, on to Economy in time to turn 2. A double play ends the inning, and the SMMBL select team stays scoreless through 4. GNCBL back at bat for the bottom of the 4th. They lead this all-star game by 1. With Luke Chessie at the bat, he doubled his last time up. Now facing DeGuatro for the first time. It's been an interesting start to this game, across any other sport, and even baseball too, to an extent, as that pitch drilled Chessie right on the side of the leg. He reaches base for the second time. to bring up Nate Rogers. All-Star games are thought of as offensive showcases, where the score gets driven up as high as it can go. Of course, baseball is harder to do that because the pitchers are also top of the line. But against the staffs for the GNCBL and SMMBL, these hitters have managed very few in the way of sustained pressure, very little rather, in the way of sustained pressure. Just 2 extra base hits on the game, both of them by the GNCBL. Rogers walked his last time up. Those green socks assuring me that I do in fact have the right guy. 1-0 from DeQuatro is inside. The Southern Maine Men's Baseball League have managed 2 hits so far in this game. They were the 2 first batters in the game. Both of them were somewhat fluky infield singles, and since then, all they have managed in the way of base runners, 2 walks, and a fielder's choice. Runner goes. Throw into second is not in time. Chessie in to second for the second time. He has scored the only run in this game so far. On the Landon Schwartzman single. Later got home on a wild pitch. 3-0 to Rogers. DeQuatro fires in a strike. We'll see if the offense picks up here. There are 2 extra innings to do so compared to the action the GNCBL players are used to. 3-1, chopped down towards short, fielding on 1 hop and throwing across, not in time to get the out. And there will be runners at first and second. Chessie stayed put at first. It was a great piece of fielding by Josh Mackey, but could not connect with his first baseman. So 2 on and none out for Schwartzman, who reached on a single, got to third on an error, throwing error by the catcher Larison, and was stranded there. Strike 1 from DeQuatro. These players, I should mention, were all chosen by their respective managers to represent their clubs on the interleague stage. 0-2 on Schwartzman, the league's top hitter by most metrics. Batting 8th. Oh, 2. Off the pads of Larison, and both runners will advance. Rogers down to second, Chessie down to third. And a 1-2 now from the Scarborough High School graduate. 2 in scoring position, none out. Leaves that curveball outside. Schwartzman is a sophomore at Skidmore. He's from Kennebunk, graduated in 2022. Big cut. And a big strikeout. DeQuatro gets his first out. His first K as well. And now Quest Newhall, who walked before stealing second back in the second inning. Gunloff flew out to right to strand him there. He takes a ball low. He played his club ball between Maine Supernova Selects, Southern Maine Supernova Selects, and Maine Lightning. And the coach of the latter, he's got nothing but good things to say about him. Called him a tremendous asset to the team, a good clubhouse guy, a pleasure to coach. It's no wonder he was selected by his GNCBL coach to play in this game, but that's a layout catch by the second baseman, Max Fortier. An athletic play to get a huge second out without runners advancing. That would have been probably both runs if that had gotten past his glove. Newhall down on the line out, and now Dawson Gunlaw will bat for the third time. He has struck out and flied out. DeQuatro's offering is inside. Jesse on third, Rogers on second. A nor'easter and a Norseman with another nor'easter trying to drive him home down the left field line, just foul. 1-1 with 2 down. DeQuatro trying to get out of this. 2 base runners and none out. Became second and third with none out, but a strikeout and a line out have him on the doorstep of escaping with no more damage done. Lined into center field. I just had to open my mouth. Jesse will score. Hanging up at third is Rogers on an RBI single. Dawson Gunlaw with an RBI. Jesse makes it home to make it a 2-0 game. And that will bring up Sam Economy with a runner on third and 2 outs to try and get the second man in scoring position home. The home Greater Northeast Collegiate Baseball League with a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the fourth. Economy hits it high and deep to left center, but under it to make the catch is Caden to retire the side. Or the GNCBL tack on one more. They lead it 2-0 as we head to the fifth. Top of the fifth inning now, and miracles do occur sometimes. We just got one right here. This pitcher for the GNCBL has been positively identified. Gavin Belarjan is on the mound representing the Lightning, the first Lightning representee we've seen. Leads off Josh Mackey with a ball. He grounded out to second his last time up. Belarjan, a quick worker. 1-1. He is from Woolwich. Went to Morse High School. He has pitched in 2 games this season. Has not allowed a run across those 2 starts. If we had such thing as an ERA title, he would likely not be qualified. That's a comebacker right into his glove. Tossing it on overhand to Economy for the first out. To bring up Chad Mazoan, who we didn't get to talk about last time because he flied out to center field on just a single pitch. He graduated from Bowdoin in 2016. He's representing the Astros. He's from Portland. He attended the Governor's Academy down in Byfield, Massachusetts for high school. Chopped to short. Schwartzman with it. On to Economy for out number 2. Zoan has seen 3 pitches and made 2 outs in this one. And that will bring up Nico Ruiz, the head coach of the Morse High School squad for which Gavin Belarjan pitched this past season. So if this is indeed Gavin, a bit of a rivalry here, no doubt. That's hit hard into left, dropping and gets down for a base hit, so the coach gets the better of him there. Ruiz in to first with a single. where most singles often take you. And that will bring up the first substitution of the game for the
select team,
Southern Maine
Cody Hall.
select Cody Hall. We're replacing Tom Fortier. Cody's representing the Orioles. With a man on and 2 out, Belarjan starts him off way inside. Belarjan's heading to Maine in the fall. The Lightning squad all comprised of rising freshmen with bright futures in college baseball. Many of them, including Gavin, D1. Line foul. They began play late this year, as the Lightning often do. There are many players that's popped in the shallow infield, coming on making the grab. The shortstop Schwartzman to retire the side. Halfway home at the ballpark. Ready for the bottom of the 5th we are. Zach DeQuatro back on for a 3rd inning of work to face the heart of this GNCBL lineup. Kyle Dewin has flied out to left, and oh yeah, he also tripled. That was in the 3rd inning. He was eventually stranded there. It was a 1-2-3. Otherwise, that was DeQuatro's 1st inning work. His 2nd time through this lineup. This is the 2nd player he's faced twice after economy last inning. Dewin, sophomore at USM. Mechanical engineering major, high into left. Under it is Smith, and he makes the grab for out number 1. Ike Keeley now has flied out, or no, this is a pinch hitter. I know not who, but it is not Ike Keeley. He will stand in Ike Keeley's stead. I'll venture a guess if Keeley is the catcher. There are only a couple other catchers on this squad, and the most prolific other one is Ryan Robertson. So we will say that this is indeed the sophomore at Immaculata, Robertson, the catcher for the Nor'easters, rather. He's 1-1 on DeQuatro. One, taken low. DeQuatro working on his 2nd out. Has him 3-1. Hitters count. Robertson trying to get a hit at his first at bat. Chopped to short. McKeith with the play over to first base for out number 2. Mackey, rather. Chris Chimino has grounded to second base and fly to left. Umpire and catcher with a brief conference. That's concluded. A low-scoring affair thus far in this All-Star Benefit Classic. Not sure if the word classic is on the official branding of it. I just added it there because every time these two leagues meet, bound for an unforgettable game. This one, though, is perhaps just slow to get going, as I said before. Methodical attack has resulted in a 2-0 lead. It could have been much greater, but DeQuatro was able to weasel his way out of a second and third with none out jam, allowing just one run. 1-1 on the Norseman extra hitter. Foul off to the left. None on, 2 out. In the bottom of the fifth, as I said, we're over halfway in this 9-inning game. SMMBL still yet to score, and that is strike 3. He caught Chimino looking, and for the first time, the GNCBL goes 1-2-3. Now their opponents will try and finally get a run off him against Balarjan in his second inning of work when we come back to the ballpark. We head to the top of the sixth with Henry, Caden, and Humphrey batting for the first time due up. First up is Colin Henry, who has grounded into a fielder's choice. The Penobscot native up 2-0. Against Balarjan, as I said, in for his second inning of work. Trying to keep that runless streak alive, even in an exhibition game, as that's foul down the left field line out of play. Two one. Just inside. 3 balls and 1 strike on the Mets representative. 6'4" lefty. And that's low for ball 4. The first walk issued by Balarjan. He doesn't issue many during this season, known as a corner painter, strikeout guy. Him and Ian Libby both, the co-aces of the Lightning staff. He'll try his hand at Brad Caden, who takes ball 1. He has struck out looking with a man on and none out. And that goes through the legs of Robertson. Henry opts not to run. Caden, a Delaware native, design engineer, up 2-0 once more. Did he go around? No, he did not. 3 balls and no strikes. Balarjan trying to find that command again that he is so well known in the GNCBL for, but can't find any of it there. That's a 4-pitch walk. He has thrown 9 pitches in this inning. 8 of them have been balls. And Evan Humphrey now has moved from the mound to the plate. He started the game for SMMBL, and now he will try and make a difference with his bat. The Freiburg native facing off against Balarjan from Woolwich. If you ever heard me pronounce that town any other way, you were gravely mistaken. That's in the dirt. Robertson with a stop. He and Keeley both sure-handed defensive catchers. You're not losing much subbing one in for the other, if anything. 2-1 on the Astros representative. Henry on second, Caden on first, both there via walk. That's fouled back. Belargin 2-2 now. On the USM graduate. And big swing and a miss. Strike 3 for the first out of the inning. Humphrey down on strikes, and the man up at the plate now suffered an identical fate his last time up. Adam Wilson swung and missed at strike 3 for the second out of the third inning. That's hit into left center. Making the play, running on, left fielder Newhall. The runners will stay put. Now A.J. Arroyo will bat with 2 down and 2 on. Things were looking dicey for Belargin, back-to-back walks, but he has steadied himself. Recorded 2 quick outs, and Arroyo, who grounded to second his first time up, will try and get his select team squad on the board. Make this a competitive affair here at the All-Star Game. Low for strike 1. It was low. Cutting a miss on a high fastball. Since those first 2 batters, the SMMBL has managed just a single hit. It was a Nico Ruiz single. The coach breaking the hitless streak off of his former player. Now 1-2. Belargin a strike away from escaping with no damage. Whenever I say that, it tends to not end up that way. So we'll see if Gavin can buck that trend. And he can. Into the strike zone. A beautiful sinker for strike 3. His second strikeout of the inning. The GNCBL cruising. They have yet to allow more than 1 hit in the inning since the first 2 batters. And they lead it 2-0. Bottom of the 6th at the ballpark. Zach DeQuatro is done after 3 innings of work. And his replacement is Phil Levangie from the Reds. Facing off against Luke Chessie, who has doubled and been hit by a pitch. This guy's that foul out of play. Levangie graduated, from St. Joseph's in 2018. Majored in business communication. The 6'6" right-hander delivers strike 3. Chessie goes down for the first time. Second straight strikeout for the SMMBL dating back to the previous inning. And now Nate Rogers will stand in. And no, in fact, this is a pinch hitter. Those green socks are nowhere to be found. Oh, 2. Taken low. By the mystery new center fielder. Fouled off the face mask of the home plate umpire. He needs to take a mask off for a second. Levangie, the man on the mound from Hanover, Massachusetts, went to Hanover High School. This may be David Jurowitz. He's a sure-handed right fielder for the Patriots, but in any event, he is now down on strikes. Second straight K for Levangie. And Landon Schwartzman now has singled and struck out. Ball 1. Levangie and the DeQuattro and the SMMBL pitchers seem to have settled into a nice groove, as that is a wonderful running play by the third baseman Mazoin, throwing on to get the third out. And just as I was saying, 1-2-3 once again, a second straight 1-2-3 inning. And a 2-0 lead it will remain heading into the seventh. Ian Libby on the mound for the GNCBL heading into the top of the second. I'd recognize that 6'7" right-hander anywhere. He is facing Joe Apon, making his first at-bat today for the select team. Representative of the Mets. He went to SMCC and graduated in 2018. Nearly caught just barely over the glove of Schwartzman and into left field. Apon on with a base hit. And the lineup has expanded a bit. So DeQuattro, who we just saw on the mound, now will take the plate. He served 3 innings of solid ball, allowed 2 runs. Those are the difference in the game currently. Or I believe he only allowed 1. Humphrey was responsible for the other. Goes around on strike 1 from Libby, who is from Gray. Went to Gray New Gloucester High School. As a Patriot, he was perhaps the most dominant pitcher in all of southern Maine this past season. DeQuattro takes outside. He's heading to USM in the fall. His ERA at 1.00, again with a small sample size, is 4th in the league. He's struck out 12 men just on the outside corner. He has also appeared in a few games, mainly as a long reliever. He and Belarjan would combine to flummox the bats of whatever poor team they were matched up against. And he will perhaps fill that duty here as DeQuattro goes down and strikes.
Now batting for the select team, Matt Powers.
Matt Powers up now. He was a late addition, replacing Dustin Stanton, who had to be scratched at the last second. He is representing the Orioles. Libby leads him off with ball 1. He's got a man on first. Apon led off the inning with a single. Portland High School graduate. Back in 2014. Libby. Got to miss. That breaking ball can be essentially unhittable, especially if you haven't faced it before, which very few, if any, of these players have. Powers lays off that one, and that relay throw goes over the 6'7" pitcher's head, but fielded cleanly, not enough to advance the runner. 1 out, 2-2. Outside. The select team has chipped away more and more with each passing inning. They've had multiple base runners now, and a couple of the last one. That's down third base line fair, due into economy. The put out for out number 2.
Now batting for the select team, Schuyler Skates.
And I'll bring up Schuyler Skates, the final man to make his first appearance in this game. We have heard from every single other player at this point, except for Skates, who takes a strike inside. Skates also representing the Orioles. He graduated from USM back in 2016. He's originally from Jefferson. Grounds that back to Libby. Over to economy. After a leadoff single, 1-2-3 go the select team. They stay imprisoned behind a 2-run barrier, and the untouchable duo of Belarjan and Libby. We'll see what they can muster, but first, the GNCBL up in the bottom of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th, we're in the home stretch here in this all-star game. This is Quest Newhall's spot, but I believe this is Riley Hassan batting. Those Norsemen and their green socks. if it is Hassan, he is, of course, representing the Norsemen, as I just said. Big cut and a miss for a quick 2 strikes. He's a senior at Johnson and Wales from South Portland. He's hitting .357 this season, slugging .427, and looks at 3 straight strikes. And there's 1 away, and that will bring up the top of the order. And Dawson Gunlaw, who has singled, struck out, and flat out. This game, despite being 9 innings, is flying by. The all-star pitchers have won the battle thus far against the all-star hitters. That's golfed down the right field line, just foul. He had to go deep to get a piece of that one. This may end up actually being shorter than some of the 7-inning games I've called this season. Chopped to short. Fielded on 1 hop by Mackey. Over to first for a quick second out. The last time the GNCBL had a base runner, it was actually Gunlaw 9 at bats ago when he singled with 2 down in the 3rd inning, or the 4th inning, excuse me. Since then, the last 10 batters have all come up empty. And Phil Levangie, who is back on the mound for a 2nd inning, has been a big part of that. Sam Economy has flat out twice and been hit by a pitch. Looks like he may fly out again. Is that a catch? It is. Wow. Rolled around in his glove a bit. But a diving catch by Tom Fortier, who's been busy out and right. 3rd straight 1-2-3. Just absolutely cruising are the arms for both teams. It's looking likely that 2-0 might be the final score the way things are going, but don't go anywhere. We have seen crazier things happen, and in an all-star game, anything can happen. Ian Libby and the GNCBL back in the field after this. Top of the 8th, just 2 frames remain for the SMMBL to get on the board here. Ian Libby is back out to make the chances of that as slim as possible and deals strike 1 to the top of the order, Tommy Larazan, who has singled and walked. Big cut and a miss. Lucas Francis up in the bullpen for the GNCBL. I know that's submarine delivery when I see it. Foul back out of play by Larazan, the Astros representative. Wheaton graduate. He made it to 3rd base as the very first base runner in the game. 2 straight infield hits. Looked like the SMMBL were going to be in business early as that one rolled down the stairs behind the press box. Still 0-2. Since those 2 infield hits, they have combined for 2 hits. That's into center field, and look, that might drop, and it does. So a base hit. 2nd of the game for Larazan. He has reached base all 3 times. A major bright spot for the largely silent select team. And now Max Fortier, who has singled as well, also grounded out, will bat with 1 on and none out. Line down the left field line, foul. Libby trying to be the bridge man to get it to Francis, who's looking to be the closer. If things go according to plan, I highly doubt there would be a pitching change right in the middle of an all-star game, especially considering what I was talking about at the end of one of the last innings, as that's fouled back out of play. The forecast for tomorrow is looking, shall we say, a bit grim, especially for the game that I am heading to up in Standish at St. Joseph's College. Would love to bring it to you, but I am at the whims of fate on that one. Runner goes. 0-2 is chopped to second. And Fortier will be out. Down to second goes Larison. Fortier, excuse me. Josh Mackey now has grounded out to second and to the pitcher. He takes strike one. High ball one. Libby is in a groove, even with a man on second. He will not be slowed down. Nothing at stake in this game, of course, besides pride and a few rivalries. But both teams surely want to win, and the best players the SMMBL have to offer certainly do not want to be shut out like this. Line down third past the diving glove of Dewan and into left field. Larison will hold up at third. But now the
batting for the select team.
The select team in business. Runners on the corners with just one out. And all Phil Levangie needs to do is get a ball past the infield and he'll get his squad on the board. Levangie batting in Chad Mazoan's spot. He takes a big cut. So we may be seeing a pitching change here on the SMMBL side. In the bottom of the eighth, what could be their final inning on defense. Libby deals outside. The Massachusetts native squaring off against the man on the mound from Gray. Runner goes. Cut and a miss for strike two, and a leaping grab by the second baseman, Luke Chessie, to save a potentially disastrous throw from Ryan Robertson. If that had gotten past his glove, the runner on third would have scored. Chessie saving a run there, but Mackey into second safely as Libby deals ball two. So second and third with one out. We have seen the reverse. Zach DeQuatro was able to get out of it, and that hit him. So the bases are loaded now. Levangie is aboard with just one out. And Nico Ruiz, who has singled and flied out to right, either one of those would score at least one run. He can potentially even up this game in the top of the eighth. I told you it would take a little bit for these bats to come alive. And here they are. Checked his swing. 2-0. Two singles. A sacrifice ground out by Fortier to advance Larison to second. And a hit by pitch to load him up. 2-0 from Libby. Grounded to second. On to short Chessie one. On to first. In time to turn two. The GNCBL able to get out of it with a critical double play. The select team loads up the bases with one out, and they get not to show for it. Still a donut on the board with just 3 outs remaining for them. Before that, though, the GNCBL will try to tack on some insurance in the bottom of the eighth. The GNCBL have their heart of their lineup due up in this bottom of the eighth. Perhaps the last chance, barring a disaster in the next half inning, for them to tack on some insurance runs. The first man up will be Kyle Dewan, who has tripled and flat out twice to left. The man he is facing and who he grounds it between the legs of and into center field. And down for a base hit. Thought about going for second there, but stayed put where he was. Second hit of the game for Dewan. That is off of either Shyler Skates or Matt Powers, the two pitchers that the Orioles sent to this game. He now faces off against Ryan Robertson, who grounded to short the one time he's batted. Looks at strike one, just on the edge of the zone. You gotta wonder, as a SMMBL player or fan, after the agony that last half inning brought, if you're gonna get a better chance than that to get on the board, especially against Ian Libby, one of the most dominant middle reliever talents that this league has. We'll see how much pep in their step they can summon, but first they'll have to keep that deficit at 2. That single by Doohan snaps an 11-batter streak of no base runners. So good signs already for Max Zalewski's crew. Doohan 1-2. Looks at a ball. We'll just call this guy Matt Powers because it's slightly easier to pronounce than Schuyler Skates, although Skates feels much better to say when you do pronounce it correctly. That's into right field high and deep, but manageable and caught without an issue by Fortier. Back to first goes Doohan. Robertson and Keeley's spot is a combined 0 for 4. 0 for 3 is Chris Cimino. I believe this is a pinch hitter. Again, total shot in the dark, but I think this is Harrison Toone from the Patriots, Brian Stratton Jr. from Wisconsin. If not, sorry, Chris Cimino, or other GNCBL player. I suppose since we might not get another chance, I can go through the other hitters that we didn't see. The Lightning brought Andrew Heffernan and Richie Gilboy, the most terrifying power duo in the league. Harrison Toone, as I mentioned, might very well be the man at the bat. Currently, he is second in the GNCBL in runs batted in, also stolen 12 bases on the season. Brett Federico and Jack LeBlanc, the outfield duo for the Nor'easters, as that's hit into left. Going back and making the grab is Jason Smith for out number 2. David Jurowitz also was selected to this squad, a sophomore at St. Joseph's from the Patriots. All names you know very well if you're an astute and religious viewer of the GNCBL like I am. Taken low for ball 1 by Luke Chessie, who's had himself a game. He has doubled, been hit by a pitch, also struck out. But it happens. Inside, but strike 1. Skates / Powers, what have you, can end this inning now and give his team one final chance to force a bottom of the 9th. 2-1. Do it on first, 2 down. No scoring in the last couple innings as Chessie takes a big cut, comes up empty. Two from the Oriole. Skips in the dirt. Stop made by Larison. Doohan stays put. As the shadows begin to extend, dusk finally starting to catch on as the runner goes, but in vain. Strike 3. Massive cut by Luke Chessie, his second strikeout of the game. And as I said, barring a meltdown in the top of the 9th, that will be it for the GNCBL bats. But Lucas Francis will come on for Max Zalewski's GNCBL to close this out Will he be able to do it, or will a miraculous comeback be in the works? Stick right here and find out in Old Orchard Beach. Top of the ninth, Cody Hall, Colin Henry, and Brad Caden are the last three outs between the SMMBL select team and a 2-0 defeat at the hands of the class of the GNCBL. Lucas Francis, the Norseman's ace, on the mound to finish this one off. The submarine righty starts him off with strike one. Hall has popped out to short the one time he has batted. In a lineup with 14 batters, you only get to bat 2 or 3 times, if that, considering all the substitution that has been at play. In an 0-2 hole now. Francis blows him away. Strike 3. Hall down on strikes. The first time a SMMBL batter has struck out in some time, and now Colin Henry. He has been at first base the whole game, the Penobscot, Maine native. Will stand in against Francis. Dribbles that foul to his first base coach. Francis, a slower worker than the likes of Belarjan and Libby, even with the bases empty. Leaves that breaking ball low and away. It's been a pitcher's duel between the all-star staffs and bullpens today. The GNCBL scored their 2 runs on a Luke Chessie double, who was then singled home by Landon Schwartzman. And then again in the 5th, on a Luke Chessie hit by pitch, who was then singled home, or singled to third, rather, by Nate Rogers and singled home by Dawson Gunlaw. Chessie has scored both of his team's runs. Aside from the Kyle Doohan triple, there's not been a ton of extra base hits and long balls, although that might be one into center field. Making a catch, no, out of the glove of the center fielder, Rogers, and hanging up at first. Henry wisely decides not to go for second. Looked like Rogers may have had a spectacular running play there, but it went in and out of his glove, and so the tying run will step to the plate. His name is Brad Caden. He has walked and struck out so far in this one. Francis gets a swing and a miss. And that's fouled toward the parking lot. Both pitcher and batter now enveloped in the long shadows cast by these bleachers. We're still a ways off from sunset in the dead of summer as we are, but it is past 7 p.m. That is past the legs of Caden. Had to jump out of the way. Francis 1-2 now. For the man on. Double play will end it. He deals. Fouled back to stay alive. Caden out of the University of Delaware. Stands at 6'3". He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a walk, as I mentioned. Francis trying to put him away. Inside. Caden and the other experienced veterans. Sometimes some in the range or even past 10 years senior of players in this league. Line foul out to left. Can be seen in their plate discipline. Despite the majority of this squad being high-level college prospects, the SMMBL players have seen perhaps orders of magnitude more at-bats over the course of their lives. And Caden showing it off. As he fights off another one. Taking the spirit of his team, he has fought through the quagmire of pitcher after pitcher stumping these bats. They have hung in all the same, and now he is able to work the count full. This at-bat may determine a good deal of what's to come in this next inning if he can reach base with his second walk. Payoff pitch from Francis, fouled into the dirt. Caden making me hold my breath a little bit longer, and now Robertson is shaken up perhaps, or perhaps just going for the ball. May have taken one on the side of the foot. Walking it off, he's fine. SMMBL skipper Jim Doran helping out with the ball retrieval effort. 3-2. And a critical at bat. Runner goes. And that's inside, ball 4. Down 0-2. Caden comes back and wins that appearance. Putting his years of plate discipline to use. Now 2 on and 1 out for Evan Humphrey, who struck out swinging his last time up. That was against Libby. Looks at a strike just in the zone. On the ground to second, on to short for 1, on to first, past the diving glove of Economy. And I'm not sure why he held up at first there. He probably could have scored. Or no, he did score. Or did he? I believe he held up at third. Yeah, he did. Mackey, or excuse me, that was Henry. That ball went into the dugout. He most likely could have scored on that. And instead, that's a dribbler past the diving Francis, throwing on to first, and that indeed will do it. And it will be a shutout. GNCBL 2, SMMBL nothing. Here, that concludes a thrilling all-around all-star game. It was low scoring, but it wasn't without its drama. It wasn't without its action, and it certainly wasn't without a bevy of talent on both sides, just the way you'd want an all-star game to be. I don't know about you, but I had fun watching this game. I had fun calling it. I hope everyone else did too. Let's all pray for no rain tomorrow, but in the likely event that doesn't come to pass, I will see everyone on Tuesday for a doubleheader right here at Old Orchard Beach. Until then, I've been Charlie Fellows. Take care, everyone.